your own words, whatever you can share with us. We mentioned it's Q4. There's some exciting things happening. What has happened with you and your team just in the past, let's go the 6 weeks up until just the past few days as we approach Christmas and record this?
Man, I'll try to cover it all. It feels like it's been a lifetime in a good way. So basically, Jim, one thing that you say all the time that is totally true that I underestimated this year, and you'll always say this. So I'm going to quote you. Tell me if I mess this up at all.
All right.
That you basically say it's the greatest time to be an online entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, greatest time in human history to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Period. But and I work closely with you. I have an online business, and I hear that, and it kind of sometimes you kind of just wash over it, right? You're like, oh yeah, I guess so. And going into this Christmas season, I was like, yeah, I believe that, right? But like, what does that really look like when you see it happen? And so I wanted to start with that because one thing I hugely underestimated this year was a very, very simple statistic. How many people will go from typical brick and mortar retail buying for Christmas to online buying? That statistic right there, that one simple thing. So something that is totally not any magical thing that I'm doing, right? Just a simple statistic that people are tired of walking into stores, right? They feel like they're getting ripped off and just shopping online now. That migration for anybody who's selling online, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe the numbers that happened this year. It was nuts. It's absolutely insane.
The single day, a statistic, was it a 20% jump?
Yeah.
For the single day. Was it Black Friday? I think it was. I can't remember which day it was specifically, but that single day online shopping took a 20% jump over the previous 2015 Black Friday.
Right. And I think people will hear 20% and go, oh, okay, just 20%. It's like, no, that's like millions of people.
Yeah.
Like when you actually see the sales on the other end, you're like, yeah, I didn't buy enough inventory for those millions of people who just came on. That's a lot of people who now want your widget.
And one of the questions people might ask, and I actually just recorded a podcast. I don't know if you heard this one yet or not, Brett, but it's, am I too late? I don't want people to think when we throw these numbers out that they're too late to get in, because keep in mind, I've mentioned this a couple times now before, guys. If you're listening, remember 90+% of all shopping is still done. Retail shopping is still done traditional brick and mortar. We're talking about that 9% or so that's done online. That's what we're talking about. That 9% grew significantly this Q4, but it's still less than 10% of all shopping is done online. In other words, this thing is in its infancy. As huge as it is and as big of a tidal wave as we saw this year, it's still in its infancy. It's just hard to fathom, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely insane, man. Absolutely insane. So one of the things that, I want to give a backstory on like what I've experienced in the last, what would be the actual time frames? Really from about November 1st to, let's say, end of beginning or, Christmas. Okay. So November 1st to Christmas. So it's about 50 to 60 days.
Right.
Guys, everybody listening, I cannot stress this enough. If you have ever wanted to become an online entrepreneur in any capacity, please start now. Like you said, it is not too late. It is just starting. Because I will tell you a little bit about what we've been doing, but man, oh man, I have just been shell shocked at the demand for online sales. I mean, it's just when you start to really look at the numbers, you just go, oh my gosh, there's just so many products that these people are looking for. It takes thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people to be able to get to the point of fulfilling all these products. So for us, here's what we did. Last year, we had maybe 10 to 15 really successful products, okay, in the toy category. So meaning like this is, for the Christmas season, that's like the category that turns on online shopping. It's the one, everybody's buying toys. And so we used that historical data to buy our inventory for this year, right? That makes sense, right, Jim? Like, you use the numbers from last year to buy for this year.
You made an
and then
estimate,
we did a slight increase. Yeah, so I'll give you an example. This is like actual real numbers, okay? I looked at the inventory from last year, and I want to do this not so much like, wow, listen to how awesome we are, but more like, guys, I'm trying to articulate the opportunity that's out there, okay? I looked at our numbers from last year. I increased it by 3 times in the high season. Okay, so if we were selling 100 a day, I increased our order to being 300 a day. That's a lot for one item going down the line of our SKUs to say, okay, hey guys, I don't think we're going to sell the same as last year. I think we're going to sell 3 times that amount. Okay, so my team kind of looked at me like, hey, Brett, you better be right, man, right? Because now I'm increasing my orders by 3 times. So we come into the Christmas season. I increased my orders from 3 times last year, okay? And guess what? We sold out our inventory by December 7th. Literally.
You guys were out before the rush even hit. It was awesome.
So yeah, literally December 7th hits and I'm like, hey guys, we're out. Oops. I increased it by 3 times and it's gone. And so we actually started like massive shipping over. Thank goodness we had some inventory to get us through the first half of next year. So 2017, we had already had the production started. Now we're bringing that over to fill the gaps of our Christmas season. Guess what the multiple was instead of 3 times? If I would have had all the inventory here, guess what the actual multiple should have been?
Over just last year? I'm guessing based on what you're saying, like 5, 6, 7, I don't know.
15.
Holy
15
cow.
times. I would have had to have 15 times my inventory.
To meet the demand.
For
every one unit
crazy.
you sold last year, you sold 15 this year.
Right.
Now, in all fairness, that's not all things being equal because you guys have done some creative marketing things that we're going to talk about, right? Even if you'd
100%.
if you would have done nothing, I'm just curious. I mean, just take a stab. If you'd have done nothing, what increase do you think you'd have seen as far as creative marketing?
I'd say 6 to 7 times.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the growth would have been 6 to 7 times. Just if I would have literally just mailed it in and sent in our inventory, I think it would have been 6 to 7 times, but we doubled our double. Basically.
That's awesome, man. And this thing is in its infancy. Well, let's talk about, if I was a listener right now, my next logical question would be, okay, what did you guys do to sell 15 times more than last year instead of just the 6 times that we would have seen because of the way online e-commerce is growing? Like, what did you do different? Wait, let's dive into that a little bit. We've hinted at it a little bit. Let's dive in.
Let's do it. I have been so excited to start to talk about this. So I think the main thing I want to start off by saying is, and Jim, you're a testament to this. I actually told you when I was kind of starting this, right? Is I had what we're about to talk about, the strategy we're about to talk about. I started with 0, meaning like 0 following, 0 email list, zeroed out across the board. And on top of that, never done it before in my life.
This is just a few months ago, too. I mean, you guys have only been experimenting a short period of time with this.
Right, exactly. Meaning like this is not like, oh, I had some competitive advantage, right? If I was a listener, that's the one thing I'd always want to know is like, but what'd you start at? So just zeros across the board. Okay. 2 stories, but we'll focus in on one. But there's 2 very key stories to understand what we're going for. And this is what I believe. Because we started off the podcast with saying, hey, look, there's lots of people coming to shop online. But really what we're saying is the eyeballs are coming online now in just droves. Okay. So if that's where the eyeballs are, right, that's really where shopping influence is going to happen. It's going to happen online. Okay. And for us specifically,